In this video, Simon Sinek discusses the idea about aiming for victory by setting ourselves to connect to a more meaningful level when we start with why.
A game is defined as known players, fixed rules, and an agreed upon objective. Football, for example. There's always a beginning, middle, and an end, and if there's a winner, then necessarily there has to be a loser. Then there are infinite games. Infinite games are defined as known and unknown players, which means new players can join at any time. The rules are changeable, which means everyone can play however they want, and the objective is to perpetuate the game, to stay in the game as long as possible. Turns out we're players in infinite games every day of our lives. There's no such thing as being number one in your marriage. You can be number two, but you can't be number one. There's no such thing as winning global politics. Nobody wins education. You may come in first for the finite amount of time you're at school, where we have a set time frame and agreed upon objectives and metrics, but nobody wins education. And there's definitely no such thing as winning business. But if we listen to the language of so many leaders, it becomes abundantly clear that they don't know the game they're playing in. They talk about being number one, or being the best, or beating their competition. Based on what? Based upon what agreed upon metrics, timeframes, or objectives. And at the end of the day, when we play in an infinite game with a finite mindset, when we play to win in a game that has no finish line, there are some very predictable and consistent outcomes. The big ones include the decline of trust, the decline of cooperation, and the decline of innovation. And if you look at so many organizations, the rat race that they put their people in, the finite game, which is everything is about the quarterly or annual numbers, actually over the course of time destroys morale, destroys relationships, and destroys innovation. And the great organizations are the ones who understand that the goals and the metrics are waypoints. They help us understand speed and distance, but they're not the purpose of the game. The only true competitor in an infinite game is ourselves. That's what it is. How do we make our products better this year than they were last year? How do we make the quality of our customer service better this year than it was last year? How do we make the qualities of our leadership better this year than they were last year? How do we make the culture stronger this year than it was last year? And this is the obsession of the best organizations in the world. They're obsessed with outdoing themselves. And by the way, the funny coincidence is they tend to outperform their competition simultaneously. But it's an obsession with improving themselves rather than trying to beat their competition. Because even if you're ahead, you haven't won anything. What I think is really interesting is think of a date like a job interview, right? And think of a job interview like a date, right? So if you went on a first date with someone and they sat down, they said, I'm extremely rich. I've made lots of money. I do lots of cool things. I've met a lot of famous people. I go on TV all the time, which is good because I'm really good looking. Would you want to go on a second date with them, right? Not very appealing. It's also not very appealing when we sit down for a job interview and just tell people how great we are and all the things that we've done. It's the same kind of thing. Now imagine if you knew your why and you're making conversation with someone and they say, so, where are you from? Tell me a little bit about you. And you say, I love what I do. I love my life. I love my job. You can say, I wake up every day to inspire people to do the things that inspire them. And for me, the challenge is finding all the different ways that I could do it. And I've been really, really grateful for the path that it's taken me. And I've made some money and I've get to go on TV, which is fun because I'm really good looking. And you can see how all the same jokes and all the same things now have a context. And that's what why does. It provides context. It also helps you connect with somebody, that when somebody's telling you about themselves, when you ask some questions and you get to know them a little bit and you realize that maybe their values are completely different than yours. So why gives you clarity and confidence in who you are and what you need around you. But it also helps you present yourself in a way that's way more authentic. Now, there's a rub to the why that I don't talk about that often, because you really have to get good at giving your why before you can deal with this. But the difficult part about knowing your why is the thing that you give to the world, the value you give and offer to other people, is also the thing you need the most. So it's one of the ways to understand the people in our lives, partners and mates, is can they actually give us the thing that we give to others?
An unlimited mindset, on the other hand, is one that is concerned with long-term objectives and limitless resources. It is predicated on the idea that there is always potential for development and progress, and that success is a continuous process rather than a final destination. More often than not, infinite thinkers are more focused on the advancement of their group, their organization, and society as a whole. They think that success is not a zero-sum game and that everyone can win together. Finite thinking, according to Sinek, causes a concentration on short-term profits at the expense of long-term growth and development, which can be harmful to a business over time. A culture of complacency and a lack of innovation may result from this. An infinite mindset, on the other hand, promotes creativity, experimentation, and constant development. This way of thinking also encourages resilience and adaptation, since infinite thinkers are more willing to change course and revise their plans when confronted with unforeseen difficulties. Sinek recommends a number of methods for achieving an infinite mindset. First, leaders must concentrate on their why, or the motivation behind what they accomplish. Any short term objective or desire for personal gain should pale in comparison to his why. Second, leaders need to promote an atmosphere of trust and cooperation within their company. This entails encouraging a sense of responsibility and accountability while recognizing the thoughts and efforts of every team member. Finally, leaders must adopt a long term perspective on success. This entails being prepared to forego immediate financial gain in order to invest in the growth of their team. It also entails being prepared to take chances and commit errors in the name of bigger objective. In summary, the concept of finite thinking versus infinite mindset is a potent one that can assist leaders and organizations in refocusing their attention from short term gains to long term growth and development. Leaders may build a culture of cooperation, inventiveness, and resiliency to assist them deal with the difficulties presented by a constantly changing world by adopting an infinite mindset. There are predictable effects when we attempt to win in an unending game. So, are you aiming for victory, or do you play merrily to continue the game? On the importance of developing close relationships with people, Simon Sinek speaks. He talks on how building a feeling of community and trust within a company is essential for success. Here are some of his most effective methods for developing deeper connections. Beginning with why people are more inclined to connect with a cause or belief than with a good or service, according to Simon Sinek's well-known Golden Circle concept. Instead of beginning with what or how you do what you do, start with why. This will help you connect emotionally with your audience. First, listen. Trust and understanding are the foundations of strong relationships, and the greatest way to earn someone's trust is through listening to them. Show that you value someone else's viewpoint by taking the time to truly listen to what they have to say without interrupting or passing judgment. Being phony or insincere might be detected by others, thus it's crucial to be true to yourself and your principles. Instead of trying to be someone you're not to win others over, put your energy into becoming the finest version of yourself. It may be challenging to fully be present in the moment in a society when we are continuously distracted by technology and other demands on our attention. However, you can build a better relationship and demonstrate that you appreciate the person's time and input by concentrating on them and giving them your complete attention. Create strong connections by demonstrating empathy, which is the capacity to comprehend and share the experiences of others. Spend some time listening and demonstrating your concern when someone is going through a difficult moment. This can foster a stronger emotional connection and demonstrate your support for them in both good and difficult times. After speaking with a coworker or a new acquaintance, follow up with them to express your appreciation for the interaction. This might be as simple as sending an email to express gratitude or inquire about their well being. Over time, you can strengthen the bond between you and your partner by demonstrating your commitment to the union. In conclusion, developing great relationships calls for a blend of authenticity, empathy, and a readiness to both listen and establish common ground. You may build a foundation of trust and understanding that can result in enduring relationships by starting with why, being present, and following up. Because we understand their motivations for doing or selling, the best brands establish strong bonds with their customers. It helps us understand the person sitting across from us and determines whether or not our values align. Hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. For more videos, like and please subscribe.